Welcome, everybody, to the Local Hour on Thursdays, and historically that means David Samson joins us. He's the host of Nothing Personal, now very proud to have that a part of the LeBatard and Friends Network. You can follow him on Twitter at David P. Samson. He is verified for the time being. We'll get to that, I guess, a little bit later in this show. David, there's a lot going on in the world of sports and sports business, but I'm curious if you, like most people in our audience, and certainly everyone here in this studio, was awakened at around 4:45 a.m. by a test of the emergency alert system. Everyone with an iPhone. Roy, you have an Android famously. Did you get woken up at 4:45 a.m.?
Yes, I did. I got the alert.
Oh, so you got green techs get those?
They care about you guys.
This wasn't a purge to actually have all the green bubble people die.
Right. Well, that's what I was kind of hoping for. Anyways.
Thanks.
I was already
Appreciate
awake.
that.
I was actually watching a movie, and I did not get any alert. But I was actually waiting because I saw other people getting the alert. But no, I did not.
So I should say, first off, hello, David. It's me, Pablo. Hi. I'm in the state of Florida. I woke up, did not know there was an alert, was vaguely like glancing at my phone, half conscious, a little bit, full of stuff I consumed the night before. And I was totally oblivious. And then I walked into this meeting this morning, and everybody had their life disrupted by it. So can people explain for me and David what the this was?
I thought it was the Russians.
Yes, they let you know first.
Yeah. So
Hey, Mike, wake
But
up.
what did you do when you
We're
get the
attacking.
alert? Like, when you get one of those alerts that give you a license plate, do you actually drive around looking for that license plate?
Bet your
no,
ass.
well,
No,
this-
yeah, I'm an Amber Alert vigilante. Absolutely.
I keep thinking that if the Amber Alert happens, I keep those alerts on. There's ways to go through the iPhone and shut it off, but I leave them on in case I'm actually on the road and I see a silver Chevy that matches the description. I'm like, oh, this is my moment.
And what are you going to do, Mike? You're going to follow him?
I know.
You're
I'm
gonna
going to
tail him?
follow.
Like-
Hey, I'm following it right now on the Gratney.
I use it only in cases of road rage. Someone cuts me off. I'm like, wait a second. Let me just make sure. This guy doesn't have an
Let
Amber
me make
Alert.
sure this
Then
isn't
you
a
check
child
your
molester.
alerts.
You're running
First, you
plates.
get angry
Yeah.
and then check the alerts. I
Yeah,
mean,
there you go.
My
That's right.
reaction
Okay.
to the Amber Alert is simply enough performative concern such that someone who sees me is like, oh, this guy cares that this child was kidnapped, but I don't care.
Whoa, come on, Pablo. I mean, you're probably speaking for a majority of the audience, but so this one sounded different than the Amber Alerts. It was a very foreign sound.
Describe, can you guys make the sound in there? Like, what did the sound
It
sound
was
like?
like
It's hard for
screeching.
me to...
There's like the notes of an AOL dial-up, but the very start.
was
Yeah.
could it have been sea level rise? Because it was only in Florida.
It said, no, David, this is my
Reasonable
favorite part about
suspect, I guess.
The alert comes in, and I wake up, and I look at my phone, and it says, this is just a test. I'm like, at 4 in the morning? We're testing? Why are we testing now?
Well, because that's 9 in the morning Zulu time.
That's military alphabet, folks. I know that.
No, that's Greenwich Mean Time. That's
I know.
I'm
Zulu.
just glad it's military time and not a culturally insensitive reference to how people track time.
So that's a low bar that David is clearing right now. Then I guess no.
I'm just so glad Roy got my joke.
I assumed that there was an email chain and people just kind of workshopping what the right time was to do this. And someone said, "Oh, let's just do it at 4:45," and someone just assumed that it was AM.
Some dumbass.
Yeah.
that, by the way, is the purpose for military time. Because then there's no question. If you had said 16:45, then there would have been no issue. Then it's 4:45 p.m.
That's one of those things, by the way, that like the U.S. holds strong to, because the rest of the world goes 24-hour clock. They do 16:45 and all that. What of the things that we hold dear are the dumbest?
I mean,
Miles per hour.
we're going metric system on this? Are we
right.
going...
The Dan Le Batard Show?
With Stugotz.
I feel like the temperature is the dumbest one, because it'd be so easy. 0 is the absolute coldest. That's when water freezes, and 100
that's
is when
true.
water boils, and that's it. Instead, we have water boiling at 212 and water freezing at 32. Why are we holding on to this?
Might be
That's the
best
metric
answer.
system. That's all the metric system. You can't just change Fahrenheit and Celsius and not change miles per hour to kilometers per hour.
I'm going to welcome in Jeremy, who has some more information on what we all experienced last night, and apparently it's not going to be the last of it, Jeremy.
According to the Florida Association of Broadcasters Emergency Alert System test schedule, this is going to be happening 4 more times at 4:50 in the morning. Every other month, they do one at 1:50 p.m., and then the next month they do 4:50 a.m. So we're set for this happening.
This has to be a crime. What the why are they doing this to me? This jolted me out of my sleep. I almost had a heart attack. The phone was underneath my face, and it just started buzzing at 4:45 this morning, and I woke up pissed off.
Hey,
wait, you sleep with the phone under your face?
Christ,
You
Jess.
don't sleep, David, so please don't judge me.
No,
for
but
my
I'm just asking, is
poor
that
sleeping
normally
habits.
Wait.
It
I
is.
want to know where everybody's putting their phone when they go to bed. Jess has it under the pillow right by her face. David Samson has it where?
Nightstand.
Nightstand. Amin.
On the other side of the bed.
Other side of the bed. Okay, like a little bit of like remove. So
Like-
you're not addicted to your phone, but you're also clearly addicted to your phone.
No, like, some people sleep with their significant other. I sleep with a phone. The phone has its own side of the bed.
Like one of those Japanese
It has, like,
body
a little
pillow
pillow.
guys. Yeah. Like those guys who like date a Japanese pillow, but your phone. Got it. Parakeet Cortes in the back row.
Nightstand charging, you coward.
Ryan Cortez is here. Oh, we're going to have some fun later on.
Wait, Tony, where's your phone?
I try to put it on my nightstand. I heard if you sleep with it on your bed, it's really bad for you. I don't know how, but there's something in your body
The vibes.
that's like, something's
The
off.
radioactiveness of it, I heard.
Exactly.
That's what my Jewish mother told me, that you can't have your phone near you because of radioactivity.
My Cuban mom
Absolutely.
said the same thing.
Same, David.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers was saying that. Fart bear?
Thanks, Pablo. I really appreciate the fart bear introduction. Either on the nightstand, or accidentally just right on my face because I've fallen asleep looking at TikTok.
A lot of nightstand.
Exactly.
And also face. And Roy?
Nightstand.
Yeah.
Now, is there a special Android kind of cradle that you have to put it in, or is that just a regular thing, nightstand, like the rest of us?
No, nightstand.
All right, just gonna make sure.
My God.
Do you guys ever go through something where you try to be less addicted to your phone, so you try one night
No.
with it in the bathroom charging, or on the opposite
So,
nightstand of where you sleep?
I once interviewed it. I was gonna name drop this, then I realized he's actually now a Meadowlark employee. I once interviewed Andre Iguodala about sleep habits, and what he told me is that he cranks his temperature down to like 65 degrees, and he leaves his phone in his bathroom plugged in because he wants to preserve optimal sleeping habits. I don't do any of that,
Overrated.
but allegedly, this is what a responsible person who cares about their biomechanics and rhythms.
Yeah, when's the last
does.
time he played?
Very good.
Good deal that did for him. Huh?
Very true. My boyfriend does that. He puts his
Sorry,
phone on the nightstand by me, so it's not by him. So this morning I woke up to 2 phones. buzzing.
Nice.
You woke up to 2 Amins making that sound again.
By the way, that happened to me twice as well, because the Apple Watch is slightly delayed off of the phone. So after I'd fallen back to sleep, my watch did the same thing back to me.
Yeah, my wife always gets the alerts quicker than I do. We have different carriers, and so she got it first, and I was like, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? And then 15 seconds later, my phone goes off. By the way, I keep my phone on the floor because on the nightstand, it vibrates all the time, and it keeps me awake because I'm a light sleeper. Figured out if I put it on the floor, I don't hear the vibrations.
Jeremy, can you add value and tell people when the next alert is going to be? Because then you can switch off the alert, so
Jeremy,
then
can you
4:45
add
a.m. it won't
value?
happen.
For once. No, this is the thing. If they're gonna keep doing it in the morning, I'm literally just gonna switch off the alerts, which has got to be the worst case scenario for an alert system, to annoy people to the point where
But
they all
that's
opt
why
out.
let's give the exact date, so only switch it off when it's going to be tested in the middle of the night.
Never switching it back on.
The next alert will be May 1:50 p.m. So June 20th, 4:50 a.m. Eastern time will be the next alert that should go off. But an important update is that apparently, according to the Florida Division of Emergency Twitter account, they've said that this was just supposed to go off on television, not on your phone, so that there was a mistake made there, and from now on, this will just be on TV if it's that early in the morning.
Can I just say that if I am gonna blame
ineffective.
Ron DeSantis for something, this feels like good negative campaigning. Remember the time he woke you up at 4:50 a.m. for no reason, then pledged to do it again?
I feel like there's a lot more worse than that.
Yeah, like abortions.
How did they get
Disney.
Oh, did you see his new plan of putting a prison by Disney? That'll show him.
It was so good.
We're gonna protect the children from gay Elsa potentially by just putting a prison there.
Wait.
What?
I think Miami just did that. Didn't they put a prison overlooking one of the new condo pools?
Oh yeah,
So
that was.
people were sitting out by the pool.
I believe, in the words of Dan Le Batard, this is this studio actually, his personal prison that is perched above a pool in downtown Miami. But I was actually curious, David, as a wealthy person who does wealthy people things, I feel like if you're not in a bunker before us, you're doing this wrong. Like, shouldn't you be in the apocalypse bunker before everybody is like vaporized by the nuclear holocaust?
Why would I want to survive that? There'll be no one making content.
That's not
Like,
true.
what would I be doing?
That's not-
Grazing? Do you think I'm like at 5'5", 129? Well, now way more than that. Do you think I'll be able to like hunt and gather?
I just believe that you should have a secret bunker that you already have paid for, such that when this is happening,
He
you're
does.
ahead of the curve.
He had a panic room.
And by
I
the way,
lost it in the divorce.
oh damn, she wanted it. By the way, David, also in every
Got
post,
everything else, but I lost that. Believe it or not, I wanted it badly.
in every post-apocalyptic movie, there's always like radio freedom or whatever. There's always content, David. Don't ever believe that it goes away.
I just want the content that is David Samson giving us a tour of the panic room he lost in his divorce. What did that look like? Can you give us the visuals
In
on
a
that?
post-apocalyptic future, the content is still Darren Ravel making every death about him.
He has the largest collection of nuclear holocaust photographs in history.
I wonder who will buy ticket stubs after there's a nuclear. Is it called? Wait a minute. Did we just say nuclear holocaust?
Yeah, that's the
Is that
term
what it's
I
for it.
called?
led with that, and then it occurred to me that I probably shouldn't have used that
But
in
I've-
general
That's
or
a
with you
term.
specifically,
No,
but it
that's
is,
a-
I believe, a term.
That's a term.
yeah.
That's a term.
What does it
Nuclear
mean?
winter, nuclear fallout.
It means the worst possible thing to happen,
like-
I think is why they use it.
Yeah, no, nuclear holocaust is like the Holocaust, except it's nuclear. Like millions of people dying. because of nuclear war.
The Holocaust word was not invented with the Holocaust. I think
Right.
it's closer to what Amin was saying.
Millions
that it
of people
means
dying.
The worst. We'll get into
No,
a lot-
Mike, I wanted to end this segment by actually us discussing the Holocaust.
Yeah,
I would
no,
like
that
to
seems
parse whether this is enough deaths to justify the term.
Boy, Dan is really resting easy right now.
Oh, I got it, guys. I got this. One of the things I've been noticing about doing this show is that this is not just my debut first week here. It's that it's everybody's. And so Jess Smetana is sitting there paralyzed because she hates the angle on her camera. And this is where I remind you guys to go to youtube.com/LeBatard and Friends. Is that how I'm promoting? Yep.
You're so much better at that than the
Very
normal
good.
host.
Promoting this appropriately. Jess, what's your problem with this? You're like, for people who can't see it, you're kind of like shrinking into yourself.
No, it's everyone has a good side and a bad side, and now they're zooming in on my bad side, and I'm self-conscious about my bad side.
Can we do
Pablo.
a thing where everybody shows what their good side is? Do we have the capacity to show people as they display their good side? Because Jess believes that this is her bad side.
This is my bad side. It's because of where my hair is parted. We don't need to get into it, but this is my bad side.
Do you guys?
Pablo, you got to watch out for the business, Pablo. We cannot have 5 extra cameras just to get everybody's both sides.
No, I wanted the 5 extra cameras to specifically body shame the only female employee here. I think that's also fine, along with defining what the Holocaust is.
You are a good fill-in host.
I think it's my right side.
It ain't fill-in, Jessica. We're stuck with him.
By the way, speaking of being stuck, the panic room, we never got the visuals on this. How does a rich person design? You
What?
sit in a giant
Pablo.
baseball glove.
Pablo,
What's in your panic room?
Stop.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
You didn't
never
notice
noticed-
that?
Another baseball glove with cans of food in it.
I've got my sticky stuff right next to me to make sure I don't get up because I'm tempted to get up often during the course of a show.
It's a
But no,
tactical. It's
what
a
a panic
tactical
room
glove.
is, Pablo, it has nothing to do with money, actually. It has to do with allocating a room where you double lock the door, make it about a 3-inch thick door that's bulletproof, and you put supplies in there, including a phone, a land phone, a cell phone, and a food where you can actually eat if you're in that room. And you stay there until you get the all clear sign.
And this was just to protect you from taxpayers?
Oh God, it's like a Mensa convention over there in that new studio. No, it was to protect me from ne'er-do-wells.
Mm.
What was the worst case scenario you imagined when creating this panic room?
Getting kidnapped.
Oh, David. So
They
I want to put a
They
flag.
bring you back.
Can I put a pin in this? Have you got David? You have not discussed this with anybody, right? Have you done this? I don't want to
No.
do this with you now because I just want to
No.
let you know part of my duties at Meadowlark Media in New York has been to meet David Samson for meetings, dinners, and David told me something that I believe is the key to understanding him. But I can only use this as a tease for further content because it's too real to actually discuss right now. But you just alluded to it.
Great talk.
Thanks.
Okay.
Very good. So anyway, the stickiness stuff. Are we gonna get into that story?
It's the first one in the new studio.
Dan would have never let that happen with David. It would have just been heaping praise.
He would have ripped open his chest and eaten the grief inside of it, which I'm
Yeah.
very tempted to do.
I get
but-
where you're going, Pablo, and it's fine. But I think that the references you're making, all it comes from is that I am generally scared. And where that comes from as a child, could it come from being small? Could it come from any other things that could have happened? We are all a victim of everything that's happened before this moment. And we can either learn from it or not learn from it. And I have had, as recently as last night, 2 nights ago, there was someone in red sneakers. Do you know the red sneakers for those with little kids, the little baby red sneakers I don't know if those are still
like
around.
Sonic the
They're
Hedgehog
Keds?
style. Like what are we? No, I don't know.
little
this.
tiny baby shoes that are red sneakers. Someone with red sneakers was chasing me and I had to escape through a window. And what happens is I wake up screaming.
Oh,
And this happens, unfortunately, for the person I sleep with, 4 or 5 times a week where I actually wake up screaming. And it's very off-putting, actually, and it's scary. And so what I try to do during the day when I'm not awake is make sure that I don't put myself in a scenario where that could actually happen.
So I need to juxtapose the profundity of David's confession that he is chased by the same figure in a dream wearing the same shoes, and this is a figure he encounters that is regularly traumatizing. And then on the other side of this glass in a room, God,
Profundity.
on the other side of this glass in this room that we need to rename at some point because it's no longer the shipping container. Put a pin in
974.
that. You're just laughing. David Samson is like, let me share you traumas. And
Oh,
you
you're
guys
doing the
are-
Dan thing where you're like, I want to do that show, and we're like, you don't want this show.
You don't want this
yeah,
show.
This is,
No.
Yeah,
No.
good fill-in host.
But I found like a perfect prank to play on David if he ever stays here at the Elser. And I'm just going to ask the staff to give me a hotel room key so I can place 2 red shoes behind curtains and just let the fun begin.
So, Mike, here's why you won't do that. Because you'll have the opportunity quite soon, actually. But the reason you won't is as much as you want to say that you like torturing me, I don't think you understand. So I'm happy to explain it now on the air. The ramifications of that sort of prank, it's not funny. So some pranks are funny. That one is not funny. Like sneaking up on me or any of the things that are triggering because of what's actually happened, I don't find any humor in, and it's not even good content.
It's the thing that inspired me to give the whole caveat
Hold
about how
on.
I can't actually say it.
Hold on.
And everyone's laughing at my
Hold on.
caveat.
Is
What?
there an actual traumatic experience involving someone with red shoes that's happened to you?
That's his recurring dream.
No, I know it's a
Yeah.
dream, but that's not an actual event.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
just a
like, what's
dream.
the source?
Like in a,
So it's
yeah.
not a baby, but there's several actual events. One that I'm happy to talk about now, Pablo and Amin and everybody, is that when I was a freshman in college in Boston, I was at Tufts University, and I would go to Commonwealth Avenue to become a lifeguard, a water safety instructor. And it was during the winter, and I was attacked by a group of 4 people who got me from behind and tackled me down. And the car key that was in my hand actually pierced my hand. And the only thing I saw when my face was on the ground was a pair of red sneakers.
Wow.
Oh, I got legit like
Chills.
man.
Yeah.
And the only thing that was stolen was not the car that I'd borrowed from my freshman roommate, was my winter jacket,
Oh man.
which
that's the worst.
also was a red. Here's a brand that doesn't exist anymore. It was a CB jacket. I don't know if you remember that brand, but it was a ski jacket from a long time ago.
There you go. No, I don't remember. But no, that's
You are haunted by a specific thing that happened to you.
Well, several, but that's the only one that I'm happy to talk about at the moment.
Correct.
But yes,
red
that
shoes,
actually
though.
happened.
The red that makes
They were
more sense.
they were red sneakers. The sneakers in my dream though were the baby red sneakers,
Right.
like the Converse kind. These were not exactly those. They were like red Jordans.
So when the big red boots were going viral on Twitter, were you triggered?
No, it's sound. It's the sounds, right? It's the sounds of feet behind me. It's why I sleep in a certain way or don't sleep. It's why I have certain things that I do to look around, and I'm obsessed with my surroundings. So when people are
He
coming
is
up behind me,
obsessed. Oh
one
my
of
God,
the
he's
one of
obsessed
the
with that.
things that you do in therapy is you like all the marathons I do. It used to be paralyzing, all the footsteps behind me.
Wow.
And so what's that called when you get thrust into a situation? Oh, come on. When you're put in a
Immersive therapy?
situation.
The David Samson show
Immersion.
on Thursday?
White supremacy.
Immersion. So immersion therapy, you do a marathon, you have thousands of steps behind you, but it has not totally worked. I'm still scared of steps behind
Did
me.
you put on earplugs or something to soften it?
So back when I started, noise canceling did not exist, and I was asked not to use noise canceling when I run because it would just not help. You're supposed to hear it and be okay with it. Still working on it.
David, the people in Oakland are probably hearing footsteps right now as they're about to lose their baseball
Is that
team.
wait?
Coming up
wait.
after the break.
That's how we're doing me.
Coming up after
That's
the break.
how we're doing you doing me.
No. See, that was actually an impression of you, but I wasn't doing your voice. I was just doing your
See, that's
adaptation.
my little
Yeah.
red shoes.
Yeah.
That's my footsteps. Is
Yeah.
the threat of Mike
After the
Ryan
break.
doing that Alan Thicke bullshit and pretending it's me.
After the break, I'll tell you about how the fans in Oakland might be hearing footsteps.
More smiling.
Rest
Yeah.
in power.
Yes. And then the Savannah Bananas.
It doesn't even sound like me. It doesn't sound like me. I have to sit here and pretend that it sounds like me, that
It
Mike
doesn't
Ryan is a
sound
master
like me.
impersonator.
It
but
doesn't
it doesn't
sound
sound
like
like
me.
Stop matching my voice.
acting like me. So are the A's moving? Yeah?
No.
Are
You
the
think
A's
Pablo's
ever going to
gonna
move?
use a vocabulary word that none of us know because he went to Harvard and that's what he's going to flex every time he's on the show?
Yeah, that's his bit.
Hit the sound.
So the A's have been threatening to move my entire life. And
Right.
they play in a coliseum that a possum lives inside the walls of the away broadcast team, and the away broadcast team can't do it from that booth anymore because of the possum. Their baseball stadium situation is a disaster. I've seen several mock-ups over the years. The threat to move to San Jose. What is going on with the Oakland A's?
Wasn't there a sewage thing too? Like a toilet overrunning?
It's the
David?
worst stadium to play baseball in. To get from the visiting clubhouse where to access the field, you have to step over all of these grates and cables, and they're so disgusting that we would lay stuff down for our players because we didn't want them to trip with their spikes and we didn't want to have any injuries. But it is a nightmare stadium. They definitely need a new one. But here's the reason, and it was discussed on Thursday's Nothing Personal. The Oakland A's lose revenue sharing if they don't get a stadium deal done by January of 2024. So there will be a stadium deal done somewhere by January of 24, because if they lose revenue sharing, they're out of business.
The whole grates thing, it reminds me of like when you walk over a grate in the city in New York, and it's just like, oh, this smell that entered my nostrils is actually going to kill me, I think.
Oh, really? I'm the opposite. I love that smell.
Oh,
I'm
that's
intoxicated by it. I love the smell of the oil, mechanical diesel smell of the subways. Not the rats and the pee smells and all that stuff that comes up in the summer. But like when you're walking over those grates during the winter and it just wafts up like, oh, man.
I've never walked on one of those grates. I was not allowed to as a kid. So I've still to this day never walked over a New York City grate.
What?
The cautionary tale of someone falling through it. to
Fart
their death.
Bear is just in the
Correct.
back row, nodding at everything that resembles a small person being trapped into something.
Yeah, this is just a level of Jewish neuroticism that I can understand.
Real quick, David, we have less than a minute here. Do you have any possum stories?
No, just cats, dogs, rats, possums. It's normal. There's animals in every ballpark. They live there. We try to get rid of them. We hire Ace Ventura, but they always come back.
I'm glad we asked David Samson like one question. So let me ask a second one. David Samson, how are you celebrating 420?
I already ham.
Nah.
You already ham? I guess.
He said ham.
I guess you are. We don't have time for your review this week, David, and we got to get to local sports and 2 important playoff series.
I want to
so-
go worse than you do. Trust me.
Yeah, all right, we'll let you go. He's a host of Nothing Personal with David Samson, now a part of LeBatard and Friends. Please follow him on Twitter at David P. Samson. David, we'll talk to you next week.
Way to bring home the bacon. So last night, the Miami Heat had a must-win game. We talked about it on the show. Giannis not playing. They're up 1-0. The opportunity to go up 2-0 in the series as the 8th seed. Everything lining up in their favor. And then Patrick Connaughton stole Steph Curry's powers and had the second quarter of a lifetime. And so we decided, Pablo, today that it wasn't enough to have one minister of information in here. We decided to fly in a second one.
I love that this happened on the day that Cortez
That's right.
showed up.
Parakeet Cortes.
What do you want, you coward? What do you want?
You celebrate the Miami Heat and then you fly away. That's my Jack Palance. What do you have to say for yourself, Ryan?
Trip went well, is what I have to say. I mean, we won a game in Milwaukee. It went exactly how we wanted. What are you talking about? It went perfectly.
I'm already sensing that Fart Bear and Parakeet are forming like a very strange Voltron in the back row.
It's
my boy.
What's the
the fusion
Hold on.
dancing.
I'm here to block it because I think there's some capitulation that needs to happen from the ministers.
Yes.
Both of them.
Oh, they demand. So
There's
every
capitulation that needs to be had.
accountability is being demanded. The ministers of propaganda.
I watched Brooke Lopez catch the ball from 27 feet, up fake, put it on the floor, switch hands to the other side of the rim and finish, and with zero resistance. Where's this top 5 defense that I keep hearing about?
Consistently inconsistent. I mean, I've been saying the same exact thing since the first moment I got a chance to talk about the Heat on these microphones. Is this team is consistently inconsistent. One night, they'll save their season, beat the Bulls, look terrible against the Hawks the week before or a few days before, and then show up in game 1 and dominate the Bucks. And then in game 2, they'll look awful because that's what this team is, consistently inconsistent. Their defense was horrendous against the Bucks last night. And as I told you guys going into the game, they're worse against Chris Middleton and company than they are when Giannis is on the floor. They're just worse against the Bucks when Giannis isn't there.
So 3 years ago when they met in the playoffs in the bubble, the game that Giannis missed was the game they won because Chris Middleton went nuts. So this does track, Pablo.
But the whole idea that the Bucks beat the Heat 138 to 122.
They beat the shit out of them. They didn't just beat them.
But you're giving this to Pat Connaughton. That's the person that is in the David Samson PTSD of this game. Pat Connaughton wearing red shoes is what Miami Heat fans should be remembering.
I mean, I don't know how you guys experienced it. I experienced it. Everyone in the country is watching Lakers Grizzlies. I said, no. Heat Bucks is starting right now, and I got to watch this for the show tomorrow. And I'm watching the first quarter, and then the quarter break happens, and I said, let me check back to the Laker game. So I checked back a little bit, came back, watched a little bit of Heat Bucks, and then there was a timeout. So I said, let me check back to the Lakers game, check back to the Heat Bucks game. They're up a zillion.
Yeah.
It happened like that.
So we were at a restaurant and we were watching the Panthers playoff game because it had an earlier start, and someone was really pushy about putting on the Bucks Heat game, and it was on the screen for 7 minutes, and I don't think I saw the Bucks miss a shot. Yeah. And the game was over right there. Ryan, which of Kyle Lowry's 2 buckets was your favorite?
Oh, go to hell, man. Why can't we talk about the Ice Cats? I mean, the hottest team in
Whoa.
hockey.
What a pivot. What a pivot.
God,
What a pivot.
did not have that on my bingo
Upset
sheet.
Bruin. I'm going to game 3. I'm bringing a blender. Boston, bring your cock and balls, because it's going in said blender. What a performance. Sam Benny, Roy, he's important.
Oh yeah,
Smooth skating Sam Benny.
the insertion of him into the second line. That's
Oh,
the
I love
Kachuk
it when
line.
you
Oh,
say
that was
that
a big
word.
one. So his second line center,
Lineup?
they really made that line much better. Much better. They forced turnovers from the Bruins in that game, and that led to a couple of goals. So yeah, that was big.
Also, we're getting close. We mentioned it after game 1. Barkey, I got my eyes on you.
No, he had a better effort in this game.
Yeah, flat track bully. He finally got on the score sheet when that game was out of hand. Barkey, I spent 2 periods looking for you. Be the best player. Be the best player.
It wasn't just him scoring though. He was pretty doggone good in the face-off circle. So,
This
yeah.
is what Dan didn't understand. Without Patrice Bergeron in there, Barkey has to dominate, and he's not doing it. They're a lot better at home, so hopefully. Wait, how did I let Ryan Cortes do this? Kevin Love turned into a pumpkin.
I'm looking at you incredulously as you just effortlessly, midway through the segment, we haven't even really delved into.
I think it's Mike's hockey mullet.
Yeah, I love hockey, though. I love playoff hockey.
Oh, yeah.
I think if you're a local sports fan, if you have like a treetop view about these things, you have to be positively thrilled that your 2 8 seeds came away with splits, 1-1, headed back to home. The only thing is, the Heat got no shot in this series, where the Panthers have a legitimate
The
one.
Heat thing, though, the fact that Giannis did not play, right? Isn't this an indictment? Isn't this like a fundamental indictment of the fact that, oh, actually, you guys are smoke and mirrors? Lots of smoke.
That game
Also
last night
mirrors.
does not matter. Like, it literally does not matter. If Giannis doesn't play, they will lose in 5 because we don't get up for bums. When Giannis plays, we will smack him in the mouth the way we did in Game 1. Jimmy Butler's the best player in this series is what people don't get and what Dan kind of got. Playoff Jimmy's the best player in basketball. It's him and then Kawhi and then Giannis. That's where the Heat have the advantage. Giannis plays, Heat in 5, maybe 6.
How did you feel about Duncan Robinson in the starting
Can we
lineup?
ask about Duncan Robinson? Where are you guys on Duncan Robinson?
I'm in the same spot I've been in for the last couple of years, Pablo. Out on him. Out on Kyle.
He had a good game, though.
Out on
He
Bam.
started.
He started and he played well
started.
in his minutes.
I just don't. The Tyler Hero thing is important. I think Tyler. The thing is this who Tyler is going to be? Is he just not physically
hurt?
available? Yeah, like it's undone. I'll bring in his best friend Jeremy Taché to explain to me what's going on with Tyler's body. Is he just a frail dude?
I mean, that's just a fluke injury, right?
That
like
one was fluky,
That's
but
a
also
fluky injury. Last year, he was dealing with, I believe, a hamstring or groin issue as we got to the Eastern Conference Finals, and he couldn't play anymore against the Celtics. But it is crazy the difference in like the narratives here. Both teams in South Florida came home from an 8-1 with a split, and the Panthers were dominated in Game 1 in the same way. No, hold on. In the same way.
No,
This is
no,
important.
no,
This is
no,
one
no,
part.
no,
This is just part of the narrative. The Heat end up losing that game. They've been outscored in total after that major blowout. They've been outscored by 3 points in 2 games. They're a team that defensively always is better at scheming something out. So when Giannis is in the lineup and their whole premise is we're going to shut this guy down and make everybody else beat us, he's still going to take his shots. He's still going to get his attempts. And if he's not playing as well as he normally does during the regular season, that's what gives you a puncher's chance. Without him in the lineup, Milwaukee made the adjustment. Spoelstra and company couldn't make the adjustment to what they did early in the game, which was feeding the ball into the post to Brook Lopez.
You
and
couldn't
ultimately
stop
opening
Brook
up
Lopez?
No, but ultimately, no, they made 25 threes. They had their best postseason shooting night in the history of their franchise.
It
They
was
scored
the best
more points ever. It was
three-point
amazing.
shooting night by anyone in NBA playoff history, I believe.
Correct. And the Heat have been awful at defending teams against the three-point line all season long.
But this is a question I have in general, right? When something is so extreme as to be the most successful three-point shooting night in NBA history, is that something that you can actually chalk up to, okay, let's even it out, toss the extremes, right? Or is this actually a scathing indictment of the team that they did it against?
A Heat team with a horrible offense all season long scored the most playoff points they've ever scored in their franchise's history in Game 1. So there are fluky things happening in the
They're
series.
the weirdest goddamn team in the NBA.
It's so weird, man. I'm somebody who believes that like Jimmy Butler's relationship with the postseason is like, you know, a werewolf with the moon. I do believe that is true. I buy into the legend. He's a killer. He's unstoppable at times. But then I'm like, you're starting Duncan Robinson because Tyler Hero got hurt, and that's worrisome. That speaks to a larger Duncan versus Spo dynamic I want to ask about. But it's also just no one knows what to do with this team in general.
I think one of the problems is that I don't think Miami is good enough to be good or bad enough to be bad. They are this weird place. Jeremy, you remember this? Like months ago, I told you they're good enough to get your hopes up and bad enough to destroy them at once.
That's why I wanted the lottery.
What, like the lottery
That's
had to have
insane.
Thank you, Mike.
They already beat a 1 seed in Game 1, and we're
in
still
one
talking
game.
about the
And
lottery.
that, in
That's
all
wild.
likelihood, that's a 1 in a 5-game series, man. They're not good.
And you lose Tyler. Now to another injury, another season lost.
That's the most unbelievable
I do love
take.
how Tony's
that
take
is the craziest take. He's
has
out
been
4 to 6 weeks.
that the Heat trying to win playoff games is responsible for Tyler Hero getting injured.
He'll be back for the finals, Tony.
Yeah, to watch him on the
Exactly.
couch.
You genuinely, like, you guys are the most passionate homers when it comes to the Miami Heat. You're not doing a bit. You genuinely think that this is a series that's in for the long haul?
I would have told you before this series, more likely than not, that it was Bucks in 6. That the Heat would have played them tough, and that the Bucks, would ultimately come away with it because they're the better team. They are the better team. And there's no denying that. But when you have Jimmy Butler doing the things that he's doing, if you can just get now, with home court advantage in this series, if you can just get a few more shooting nights that are not 60% like they were in game 1, Milwaukee's not going to shoot 60% again. So if you can get a little closer to even in that part of the game, you've got a puncher's chance. And that's all anybody was looking for going into the first 2 games of the series.
I have a question about what happens, Amin, inside an NBA team when there's a game like this. A game that is a blowout and ugly and doesn't feel representative of things. And I feel this way when I watch the Knicks lose to the Cavs. I'm like, what do you do in the locker room after? Are you actually watching this game tape? Like, how do you approach this internally when something feels this extreme?
Well, the coaches absolutely watch it and they break it down and they'll go through every painstaking detail. But the video the next day that we show the team, because after the game it's kind of just like, we'll regroup tomorrow. The video you show the team the next day, it depends. If it's literally because the greatest shooting night in the history of playoff basketball happened, maybe we're just going to point out a couple of plays like, hey, we need to tighten this up. But, hey, we can – what are you going to do, basically? There's a lot of what are you going to do there if we're doing the right things and they just made shots. If it was an effort thing or just complete sloppiness, then you might get the opposite. You might get the painstaking, I know we got our ass kicked, and we're going to watch every single one of these.
Right. No, that's the question is like, when do you go scared straight and when do you actually fear for the fragility of your team's mindset so that you actually just burn the tape?
I think the tape burning happens when we did reasonably well and we were just met by an unstoppable force. Then you throw that away. But if it's like, we got burnt by Brook Lopez 27 feet from the basket because we didn't know how to close out to a lumbering 7-footer. Like, those are conversations that we can have as a team that this is unacceptable. Like, yes, of course they beat our ass. We played them terribly.
Burn the tape. How about burn the boat? Heat in 5.
Let's go!
That was the most pathetic let's go. That was so bad.
I'm trying not to peek. I'm just trying not to peek. It's really terrible. I don't know what to tell you.
Go Panthers.